Skål!
Skål!
You will know me as Skull the Norn.
Welcome back, travelers, to another episode of Viking Tales. In today's episode, we talk about Odin and his lore, all that fun stuff. We are joined here today by Mr. Andrew Valkowskis.
And I'm here with Ken Say as we discuss the Allfather, a very polarizing figure in Norse mythology. Let's begin with his ancestry, right?
Tree.
So his father was an Aesir god, Bor, but he got together with an ice giant named Besla. So Ymir, who was the primordial of the Rime-Jotuns, totally disapproved of this union, but it happened nonetheless. Odin, along with his two brothers, Vili and Ve, you can consider them as half-breeds between the Aesir bloodline and the Rime-Jotun bloodline. Ymir wanted to punish Besla for this transgression, and for that she paid dearly, but not as badly as Ymir, because Odin and his two brothers slew that bastard and created the universe out of his corpse. Out of his brain, they created the clouds. Out of his body, they created the land. The seas were his blood. And they transformed even the maggots within his body into the dwarves, the Dvergar. And a lot of other things like trolls and ogres came from that body. And that's why all of these things, when met with the light of the sun, turned to stone.
Yeah. So we already know that most of these gods have wives. So who is the wife of Odin?
So there's not one.
Not one.
Odin was very successful
So
with
two?
the ladies.
Three?
Oh, more than that. But we'll start with the most well-known one, which was Frigga. So she was the highest of the high in terms of the Aesir goddesses. And with her, he had Balder. And Balder's an interesting character we can make a whole video about.
Well, compared to popular belief from basically the game that came out, God of War, Balder is not the son of Freya, which is one of the characters also in God of War.
Is that what they did?
Yeah, that's what they did.
Oh.
So just to let you
odd.
guys know, just letting you guys know in advance. So a little common misconception there.
So Odin had a mistress/girlfriend named Jord, who was a giantess of the earth. So also presumed to be a Rime-Jotun. And with her, he had two children, which was Thor and Mieli. And we've done already an episode on Thor. And Mieli is a rather nebulous figure. So we know very little about that son. So Ken, tell me a little bit about what his weaponry was, what his buildings were.
Well, to be honest, he had one weapon that he's really known for called Gungnir. It was a spear that never missed. So essentially, it was forged by the dwarves, and it is a powerful spear. Literally, you throw it, it would never miss his target. He would take advantage of that in many, many ways, which we won't discuss because it is in one of the videos that we have, so obviously it's going to be linked in probably the description down below. Now, speaking of spears and wars, a common misconception is that Loki is the son, the adopted son of Odin, where in fact that there are actually blood brothers. So blood brothers, not as in like real blood, like real brothers, more from like war and like, when you...
A pact.
A pact, right? They're packed because they fought together, and because of that, they're blood brothers. So very, very common misconception. So they're very close to each other in that sense. Funny story about Loki. So Odin has a horse called Sleipnir, whose mother is actually Loki. Yes, I said mother.
What?
Not father. That's going to be for the Loki lore. So that's going to be very, very, very interesting. I'm actually excited about that.
It's one of those things that just makes Norse mythology so off the wall amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, tell me a little more about Odin. Like, doesn't he have places that he likes to hang out? Where does he like to go, more or less?
So when he hangs out, he's got Gladsheim. Gladsheim is like the hall of the gods and goddesses. And so that's kind of the main gathering place. He also has his favorite mead hall, which is Valhalla, the Hall of the Dead. And so this is where the Valkyries bring all
like
of
bar?
the most... Yeah, think of it as a bar.
Cool.
So there's like a boar that just regenerates flesh, so everyone's eating this delicious boar. There is mead that runs off the rafters from a goat that sits on top of the roof. So it's a really fun place that everyone hangs out after death. So think of this like heaven until Ragnarok. And then they're all going to march out and have that final battle on the plains of Vigrid. He also has a tower. The tower is called Valiskelf, and atop the spire is Hildiskelf, which is his throne. It's all-seeing throne. So when he sits there, he can look into the 9 worlds. He can see into any of them except for a couple of little areas, like let's say Myrkvid is one of those places that his vision can't pierce. And some of his enemies will hide there to escape his wrath and scheming, let's say.
So it's almost like in the X-Men, Professor Xavier, who has Cerebro, who can see like basically everywhere around, but some places he can't see, for example, like Magneto because of the helmet. It's
definitely inspired. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Speaking of, his enemies, he's pissed off a lot of Valkyries.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of stories that we can get into. Just to name a few, like Brynhild, Sigrun, who's later known as Kara, that wants to enact revenge upon Odin. So those renegade Valkyries would hide in like Myrkvid, for example, to hatch their revenge plan against Odin. And so many of them defected from Odin's side. So it's interesting to see, what kind of impact they would have.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we do explore in the Illuminated Edda. Odin has also been known for being completely obsessed with prophecy.
Yeah.
So like the Voluspa is one of those poems that kind of explains the future. So Odin is speaking with a seeress, could be a Norn, and she tells him of Ragnarok, that he will die being swallowed up by Fenrir.
Fenrir, which is also the son of Loki, right?
That's right. So we're going to do that in Loki's video, which will be just as long as this one, maybe longer. He knows that he's going to get swallowed up by Fenrir. So what does he do? He has his son Vidar from another one of his girlfriends. Many concubines. Vidar prepares himself with a special boot where he can grab the maw and put his boot on the lower jaw of Fenrir and snap it in half so he can free his father. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out, even though Odin tries his darndest to avoid what's to come. So Odin's a bit of a troublemaker, right? So we kind of get that idea. Does he mess with his family at all?
Actually, he's been known to troll, in quotation mark, his family member. This funny story is a story about Thor. Thor was on the other side of the river. And Odin, who's known for disguising himself, he likes to go under multiple names, decided to dress himself up as a ferryman. And he's like, "What? I can't hear you. What? Why don't you swim on over?" He literally got to the point where Thor was so angry.
He was losing it.
He was getting really upset. And it's just one of those moments that Odin is already known to be a crazy troll, a prankster per se, which we know Loki to be a prankster, but Odin,
that's why they got along.
Exactly.
Right? So both of them get this shady side to them. And that's why I think they're blood brothers.
Yeah, and not only that, they actually have a pretty cool, funny story how Odin actually got all his powers. So he's crazy. We already know that. He's kind of crazy. But to get his power, he hung himself from his leg under the tree of Yggdrasil. Is that
Yggdrasil, yeah.
Yggdrasil, and for 9 days.
And
Not
9
only
nights.
that, 9 days and 9 nights. Well, yeah, 9 days and 9 nights. And he also stabbed himself with a spear just to gain those runic powers. So that's a very interesting story as well.
That's intense.
Intense. Very intense. I don't think that's a funny story, but it's kind of cool story.
But it's got that kind of Christ-like mythology too, right? Which is, hanging and pierced by the spear.
Exactly.
So that's a similarity as well.
One of the power that he likes to practice is Scythe's power, right?
Oh yeah, scythe magic.
Scythe magic, right? So it's not really a forbidden magic, but it's magic that's mainly meant for women or females because it's one of those witchcraft kind of style.
You deal with the unseen world of spirits.
Yeah, exactly. And the males are like, "Oh, you're feminine," there are people haze people about that, but he doesn't really care.
He doesn't care.
Him
he
and Loki, exactly.
Feminine side.
Embraces the feminine side. So they're really, 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 really cool when it comes to magic.
So Odin's got a ton more stories that he's in. So he's in some sagas. He's in both the prose and poetic Eddas. All of this is actually covered in our Illuminated Edda book. So if you're really interested to go down the rabbit hole and find out a lot more,
right here, hit the link.
The Illuminated Edda, right behind me here.
We're gonna have the store in
we'll have the store link down at the bottom in the description. It's just way too many stories, but they're all awesome.
We might do a part 2. If you guys don't want to see a part 2,
let us know.
Hit that like button, All right, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, again, hit that like button. Leave a comment down below if you guys want to see more Odin or what other character you want to see. Let us know. More Odin would be good.
I'm thinking Loki would be a nice next one.
We're doing Loki next for sure. If you guys want to see our latest video, it's going to pop up. Also, make sure you subscribe to get notified for all our videos. We upload quite often now, so make sure you guys check that out.
And the sneak peek, always available for our Patreon backers, and the link is down below.
All right.
Thank you, Ken.
Skål.
Skål.
Safe travels.